If archaeologists could easily interpret what they find, their job would be very simple and anyone could do it. However, they are often left baffled by their discoveries, as with the objects you'll see in this video. Let's start. Number 1. Human bone daggers. Bone daggers are relatively common archaeological discoveries in New Guinea. They are often elaborately decorated objects, and it is believed that the quality and beauty of each dagger was a sign of the prestige and power of the warrior who possessed it. Until 2018, scientists and archaeologists believed there was another way ancient New Guinea warriors made claims about their power. While most of the daggers found in the country are made of animal bone, some of them are made of human bone, specifically thigh bones. These human bone daggers appear to have been very rare, suggesting that they were reserved for those of high status. However, they were not ceremonial objects. It is evident from the condition of some of the recovered specimens that these daggers were used in close combat. There are accounts from 19th century explorers indicating that New Guinea tribes used human bone daggers in the practice of both cannibalism and mutilation. However, until recently these stories were considered sensational. We now know that the practice of making these daggers continued until the mid-20th century. Number 2. The Iron Cavalry Parade Mask. We continue with a very rare Roman discovery that took place in Romania in February 2023. It is an Iron Cavalry Parade mask approximately 1,000 years old. Roman parade masks are rare finds, but this particular one is especially unique. Of the few parade masks found in Romania, all were made of bronze. This is the only one found in the country made of iron. Unfortunately, the fact that it is made of iron means that it is very rusty, having spent centuries buried in damp soil. Experts indicate that the mask is of the kelp type, which can be identified by the thinness of the eye slits, the wide nose and the strangely peaceful expression. The discovery was made by Bitek Biorel, an amateur metal detectorist, which is rare, since in Romania a government license is required to own metal detectors. This mask probably belonged to someone stationed at the nearby Roman fort of Bumbu during the Dacian Wars. Hopefully, it will look much better after being cleaned and preserved. Number 3. The Fragmentarium. Many of us are worried about the impact that artificial intelligence may have on the human species in the future, but here in the present it is proving to be a powerful tool for archaeologists. In February 2023, archaeologists announced the invention of a new AI tool called Fragment. They hope to use it to reconstruct the mysteries of ancient Babylonian texts. The tool has been developed at the Institute of Assyriology at Ludwig Maximilian University in Germany, and is expected to make significant progress in decoding texts that are currently illegible. Researchers at the university have processed more than 22,000 fragments of untranslated texts from Babylonian cuneiform tablets, and hope to analyze many more. The tool is capable of identifying matching fragments, thus recreating broken tablets. You can also match writing sections based on what you know about identical words and phrases on other tablets. Preliminary results are encouraging, with the tool being tested and used by around 200 academics around the world. Eventually, the university team hopes to make Fragment available to everyone. Number 4. Collection of harpoons and copper sword. This is an incredible discovery that happened by accident in June 2022. A farmer in the Mainpuri district of Uttar Pradesh, India, was plowing his field when he brought to the surface a collection of copper harpoons and swords that had been buried for at least 4,000 years. The farmer thought the artifacts were made of gold, rather than copper, so, instead of alerting the authorities, he took them to his house and foolishly hid them. He then bragged to his friends about the discovery, which led the police to find out and raid his home. Now, the artifacts are in the hands of professionals, who wonder why they were all buried together in a single group. Were they hidden with the intention of returning for them? Or was there a weapons production facility here 4,000 years ago? What seems clear is that these weapons were designed for a supreme fighting force. They were not the type of weaponry that the average person of the time would possess. There does not appear to be any other archaeological evidence at the site, so these questions, sadly, may never be answered. Number 5. The Kish Tablet. Next, we review the Kish Tablet. This limestone artifact gets its name because it was discovered within the walls of the ancient Sumerian city of Kish, in Iraq. There is some confusion about when exactly it was discovered, with some sources saying 1923 and others 1933. Scientists have dated the tablet to the Uruk period, more than 5,000 years ago. According to most ancient language and culture experts who have inspected the Kish tablet, it is the oldest written document in the world. That makes it enormously significant, and we would love to be able to tell you what it says, but we can't. The writing on the tablet, if it is writing at all, is partially pictographic. The signs appear to be a type of proto-cuneiform. We have enough difficulties trying to translate cuneiform inscriptions. We have no chance of translating proto-cuneiform unless there are further advances in our understanding of the origins of writing. It is very likely that Kish's tablet contains a message, perhaps even several messages, but it is far from certain that we will ever be able to understand it. Number 6. Snetisham's Great Torques. Looking at the large Snetisham torque in the British Museum, you might assume that this wonderful golden piece was once the property of a British king or queen. If you were pressed to guess its age, you probably wouldn't say it is more than 300 or 400 years old, as it is in remarkably good condition and its intricate design clearly indicates skillful craftsmanship. However, you would be far from the truth with that assumption, because this incredible golden torque was made just over 2,000 years ago. It is the most beautiful and best preserved Iron Age torque ever found in the UK, and comes from the infamous Snetisham hoard, unearthed in 1950. We date the object more precisely thanks to a coin found with it, which indicated that it was minted in the year 75 BC. The Iceni tribe is known to have lived in this part of England during this time, so it is possible that this torque belonged to one of their leaders. It is not of Roman design, and it is difficult to imagine who else would have the status or resources to own a solid gold torque. Number 7. The Charioteer of Delphi. The Charioteer of Delphi gets its name because it is a statue of an ancient Greek chariot driver. It was discovered within the sanctuary of Apollo in Delphi, Greece, in 1896. The Greek name for the statue, which is considered a masterpiece of ancient bronze sculpture, is Heniokos, which translates as "he who holds the reins." Some historians believe that the statue represents Palazalos of Gela, a tyrannical leader of Sicily, and that it was erected to commemorate his victory in the chariot race at the Pythian Games in 474 BC. However, another group of historians believes that the person represented is Hiero, brother of Palazalos, who was also celebrating a victory in the chariot race, but in the Olympic Games. The statue is all that remains of what was once a significantly larger work of art, which included 4 horses and possibly a pair of grooms. The Charioteer of Delphi is most likely the work of Pythagoras of Rhegium, a notable sculptor of the time who lived in Sicily. However, the possibility that it was the ancient Greek sculptor Calamus is not ruled out. Bronze statues from this era are rare because they were often melted down to reuse the material, but this one partially survived because it was buried under a rockfall. Number 8. The Lions of Urkesh. The Syrian foundations are sometimes also known as the Lions of Urkesh, although there is some debate as to whether they should be called that. Each of the 2 foundation peaks is identical. They are made of copper, shaped like lions, and may or may not have been created in the ancient and powerful city of Urkesh in Syria. The idea that they came from there seems to be confirmed by the cuneiform inscriptions on the artifacts, which indicate that they were placed in the foundations of the Temple of Nergal, located in Urkesh. Some scholars believe that this inscription was added sometime after the spikes were made, and may not have originated there. However, even if the inscription is a little more recent, it is still the oldest known example of the Hurrian language. Sadly, having been created approximately 4,300 years ago and spending almost all of that time together, the peaks have now been separated and both are far from home. One is in the Louvre in Paris, France, and the other is in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, United States. Number 9. Byzantine-era gold coin. We now head to Israel, where a very rare gold coin from the Byzantine era, known as a solid, was discovered. The coin is around 1,600 years old and was found by a team of Israeli archaeology students working in an undisclosed location near the Galilee. The solid is beautifully preserved and was minted during the reign of Emperor Theodosius I in Constantinople, Turkey, sometime between the years 420 and 423. Although coins like this have been found in the former Eastern Byzantine Empire, this is the first time that an artifact of this type is discovered in Israel. One side of the coin bears an image of the emperor's face, while the other shows the Roman goddess Victoria holding the staff of the cross. Finding a gold coin from this era in such good condition is always cause for celebration, but Theodosius I was a particularly influential emperor. He founded the University of Constantinople and introduced the Theodosian Code in 438, which codified all laws issued after the year 312 and established legal precedents that became the basis for many laws that still exist today. Number 10. Roman boxing gloves. Boxing has been around as a sport for almost as long as humans have walked the earth. It seems like there have always been athletes willing to fight each other for supremacy, and there have always been crowds willing to cheer them on as well. The first references we have to boxing as a sport date back to 3,000 years ago in ancient Egypt, but a recent discovery in Northumbria, England, has shown that the ancient Romans were also fans of this sweet science. Found at the Roman fort of Vindolanda in the region, these two leather bundles are primitive boxing gloves and are around 1,000 years old. Although we know that the Romans liked boxing, these are the only two surviving gloves that have been found. It is thought that different units within the Roman army fought each other in boxing matches for bragging rights and supremacy. His friends were also known to enjoy betting on the outcome of combats. This particular pair was well worn and loved. Their owner thought enough of them to patch them up rather than throw them away, presumably only doing so when they were finally beyond repair. Number 11. The mysterious Hittite gold bracelet. We start with a beautiful gold bracelet that was accidentally discovered by a farmer while plowing his field in the Turkish village of Clay in March 2022. The bracelet is around 3,300 years old and is the first artifact of its kind to be discovered with figurative representations on its surface. Additionally, it is the first Hittite bracelet to be found with an elliptical bezel, a shape that was important to the Hittites but had only previously been seen on their ring seals. We are fortunate that the bracelet survived its encounter with farm equipment that left it dented and damaged. It has already undergone some preservation and repair work and will undergo some more before being displayed at the Coram Archaeological Museum. Sufficient repair work has been done to determine that the figure in the center of the relief is the goddess Ishtar, although the precise meaning of the scene is unknown. Archaeologists conducted extensive excavation of the field where the bracelet was found, but no other artifacts were discovered. Therefore, the presence of the bracelet on the field remains unexplained. Number 12. Ancient chariot tomb. It seems to have been an unfortunate fact in ancient China that when leaders or warriors went to their final resting place, their horses accompanied them, whether they were dead or not. In November 2017, archaeologists discovered a mass burial site containing 4 ancient chariots and the remains of nearly 100 horses in the city of Xinjiang, Hunan province. The chariots can be reliably dated to the spring and autumn period of China, about 2,700 years ago. One of the chariots is especially impressive, measuring 3 meters and elaborately decorated with bronze and bone. This is likely a family tomb that belonged to one of the noble families of the Shang state. Unfortunately, no inscriptions or written records were found inside the tomb. However, they found many impressive bronze artifacts that serve as further confirmation of the wealth of the tomb's owners. Curiously, they could find no human remains, despite being sure there must have been some in the tomb at some point. Since the horses almost certainly entered the tomb alive, it is macabrely possible that they ate the remains of their owners. Number 13. There are many examples of Neolithic art in Scotland, but none pose as much of a mystery as those known as towie stones or towie balls. They are sometimes more simply called carved stone balls, a title that is not very imaginative. These balls are not especially rare, but finding multiple examples of them doesn't get us any closer to understanding why they were made or what they were used for. The first specimen appeared in the 19th century, but more continued to be found until 2013. They are small enough to fit in the palm of the hand, measuring on average between 5 and 12 centimeters in diameter, and can be made of any common rock, from granite to sandstone. Instead of being spherical, they are deliberately covered in raised areas and decorated with intricate patterns of lines and circles. Similar patterns have also been found on artifacts belonging to the Picts, who lived in Scotland 2,800 years ago, but the stones are much older. Some are believed to be more than 5,000 years old. Theories about their use vary, from their possible use as weapons to a type of resume that bricklayers carried with them to demonstrate their skills when seeking paid employment. Number 14. You may have seen this following artifact in the news relatively recently. In 2018, it was stolen from a museum in France, causing minor national alarm until it was found and recovered a week later. This is an item worth worrying about because it is truly one of a kind. It is a human heart contained within a solid gold container topped with a crown. This is the golden reliquary of the Heart of Anne of Brittany, which has been safely returned to the Nantes Museum, and was a hugely significant figure in French history. She is the only woman to marry 2 French kings and also managed to marry a Holy Roman Emperor before she died in 1514. Her death was considered such a national tragedy that the official mourning period lasted more than a month. In her will, she specified that upon her death, her heart was to be removed and placed inside a solid gold container before being sent to the city of Nantes and placed inside her parents' tomb. Most of her wishes were fulfilled, so her heart is inside the golden box. It may not be in her parents' grave, but at least the Nantes Museum is in the same city. Number 15. Fruitcake is famous for staying edible long after it's made, but even taking that into account, we'd have strong reservations about eating this particular fruitcake. It is more than a century old and was found in a hut at Cape Adare, Antarctica, in 2017. The hut itself is Borchgrevink Hut, built by Norwegian explorer Karsten Borchgrevink in 1899 and later used by other explorers. It is the oldest man-made structure in Antarctica. Borchgrevink did not make or carry this cake. It is believed to date from Captain Robert Falcon Scott's ill-fated Terra Nova expedition between 1910 and 1913. A company called Huntley and Palmers is known to have provided supplies to the Terra Nova expedition, so the fruitcake is probably their work. Scott never reached Cape Adare, so the cake must have belonged to the group led by First Officer Victor Campbell, who took refuge there during the winter of 1911. Experts say the cake is in excellent condition and is still edible. We take them at their word. Due to their high energy, fruitcakes remain a popular choice for explorers visiting Antarctica.